PPP Forgiveness. How do you do it through the SBA? I'm going to share that with you right here, right now. As you can see, I'm already right here on the portal. Yeah, I still want to show you how to get there. If you're not there, if you're coming from the SBA, I also want to leave the link at the bottom. Some good news. Did find out that there's about $74 billion to $84 billion worth of PPP that could be coming back. So hopefully the vote goes that way. I'm going to talk a little bit about that towards the end of this video. This is Stormy Mass from Stormy Matt TV, man. Do all those social things. Like, share, subscribe if you feel that you got a need to. So here, as you can see, we're at the SBA website. Well, we're not at the SBA. We're going to the SBA.gov. We're there now. As you go there, still at the top of the screen, they still talking about COVID, man. So we'll click on Paycheck Protection Program. This is if you want to take the pathway there, or if you're on the SBA and want to see how to get to the forgiveness portal. You see PPP Loan Forgiveness, learn more. It tells you about the terms and everything. But right now, we're looking for the portal. A nugget of information to see if your lender is on the list. You can just pull up this list and check and see. You probably say, well, how do I find my lender? If you did receive the Paycheck Protection Program, you would have signed a note or like a promissory letter, which would have had your lender on there, the amount that you receive, the repayment, and all that good jazz. Just go back to like probably a DocuSign is what it would have been, or the letter from your lender. Pull that up and it'll have your information right there. So you want to click our portal, and it takes you here to the direct forgiveness portal where you can go directly through the SBA. They've been really good with doing the forgiveness. For some, it takes a couple days, a couple weeks, but for most people that I've helped out, that we've helped out, we haven't had any issues. So that's a blessing. That's a great thing. When you first start, you will hit register to start here. And just like creating a Facebook or Instagram or any other Amazon account, is how you create it with a username and password. That username don't need to be too similar to your password. And they're going to also set it up to where it sends you like a token ID. So it's just trying to be extra secure to make sure that you are who you say you are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and type in the username and password that I created, and I'm going to attempt to sign in. And not going to save it there, but when I try to sign in again, it sends you to your phone. That's why I'm looking down to see exactly what that token ID is, and then that way it should let me in this baby, and we can get on to the forgiveness. Appreciate my partner who's letting me assist them with their forgiveness here, and I had information obviously it's going to be blurred out. So when you get in here, it tells you that this is a quick process. This is up a 10 minutes or less process. Depending on how you file, is depending on what information you'll use to look up your loan to have it forgiven. So you would just hit the blue to get you on through. You know what I'm saying? Now my partner, they filed not with a social, but with their business EIN number. So I'm just looking over just to plug that number in. And then on your promissory note, you or your note, closing docs, whatever you want to call them, you would have the amount that you had received. So then you're going to go to find your loan. So when you go to find your loan, it pulls up the lender, it pulls up everything. And in this situation, it's pulling up if you had multiple PPPs, right? And you can see it, and it tells you about that institution. They didn't blah, 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 blah. That particular institution didn't go with the direct forgiveness. So you're going to go with the one who does, and then you're going to go ahead and select it. So when you select it and you scroll down, you get to see all of the information that should match up to your information as far as your business address, all that good jazz, right? So where we see red asterisks is where we need to go. Most people have been the owner of their business, and then here's usually going to be your name. Okay, that's the email. All this other stuff is pre-filled. When you go down here, it's asking the cover period. I don't know how much you remember about the PPP, but you had to have an 8 to 24 week cover period. Okay, between 8 to 24 weeks. All right. How many employees? A lot of people were self-employed. If not, then that's different. But most people was 1 and 1. There were one person at the time of the loan, one person at the time of forgiveness. My partner spent all of theirs on payroll, and they're expecting to have it all forgiven as well. And then you go through, I mean, this thing gets so easy, it don't make no sense. And you go down and you just pretty much answer the question. Like, again, if you were setting up a account, or Amazon account, or Instagram account, it's literally straightforward questions. A lot of people had the hiccups on, do I need to do 60% here and 40% on expenses? Listen, the easiest way, you spend everything on payroll and you want everything forgiven. All right, point blank period. That's straightforward. That's easy. I don't know what else to tell you about that. Okay, so boom, you got all the information filled. Obviously, if you try to go next and it's not filled, it's gonna tell you no documents required. When you get up on 150,000, there's no documents required. So that's a beautiful thing as well. Boom, we'll go to the next. It's here. This is the boom. The forgiveness amount for this request is less than the total loan amount. Okay, so let me go back. It's pretty much telling me that I made a mistake. Okay, so being that I made a mistake, I want to fix it because I put in the wrong amount. So this is something common that you could have happen. So boom, but it gave me an indicator showing that was what's up. So now I'm just gonna go on to the next. We're going to the next. Now everything looks good. I'm gonna submit. It has all the information there, but now I'm gonna submit. It's taking you to the DocuSign, in which my partner is right here with me. You can't see them on the screen, but my partner's right here with me. So I'm gonna go ahead and let them do their thing and sign where they need to be, because you couldn't legally sign for nobody else if you would. You couldn't legally sign for nobody else. So you sign. Boom. It tells you thank you for your submitting your request. Your DocuSign is being processed, and boom, no other action is required at this time. So that's pretty straightforward. That's pretty easy. Go back and rewatch the video if you need to go back and kind of see exactly how it was done. Remember, at the beginning of the video, you register, write down your username and password, and then just log in. They're going to send you an email to confirm that it is your email. And whenever you try to log in, they're going to send you a text message to make sure it is you and ain't nobody in there trying to tamper with your stuff. So that was the forgiveness. We know that the PPP experienced a lot of fraud. They calculating it's about $74 billion, which was about 15% of the PPP that was monies that was considered fraudulent. Now, the thing is, I guess the tricky part about this is there's a bill out that is on pause right now. It's part of the infrastructure bill that's trying to rescind the money that would have been going back into the PPP. And they don't say exactly where it would go, but they're trying to rescind it, which means they don't necessarily, it's almost like they're trying to cancel it, even though there's $74 billion. I believe that's a tough thing. It's going to be hard for me to believe that that will pass because it's still the economic climate. Even though I know unemployment rates aren't as high, I do know that a lot of small businesses are still suffering and did suffer because they missed the wave due to fraud. So what I believe, and I believe what makes sense if anybody hears this, is to kind of how they did the EIDL program. If you follow along, when the EIDL first started off, you did not have to pull a tax transcript. But as people continue to do fraud, they said, okay, well, now you got to have a tax transcript. We got to see that you are who you say you are. If it don't match, we're going to flag you for fraud. So, man, I'm cool with that. If the PPP goes that way, I don't know how familiar y'all are or were with it before. You could do a draft. You didn't necessarily have to have filed your taxes. And you got to understand, that this was a double-edged sword for the SBA as well, and the lenders administering it, is because the reason that the Paycheck Protection Program was letting you do a draft and it changed is because of how quickly and people were complaining about needing to get the funds. So it's a pandemic, and we need to get you the funds quickly. So if we have to pull tax transcripts for everybody, yeah, it's gonna reduce the fraud, but man, people still might have been waiting for a PPP because you're not able to get it quickly. So it's like it helped, but then it hurt as well because it opened up a loophole for people to come in and say, well, hey, I did do a side business or I did do a gig business. I had filed my taxes yet y'all said I could do a draft. So the draft isn't necessarily exactly what it's gonna be. It's a draft, right? It's supposed to be close, but it's not filed properly with the IRS. So I believe what happens is if we get an okay and they take that part of the section out of the bill to where they rescind the PPP funds, I believe it'll be a lot stricter. I believe there'll be a lot more things that you have to do or prove that you're a legitimate business to get it, and that you should be fine with that if you're a legit business. So no, it's definitely still a shot at the PPP. We know, if we don't know anything else, we know that there's funds left over. We don't necessarily know how or when they'll be coming or when they'll be eligible, but we do know. But for the people who needed forgiveness, as long as your lender is on the direct forgiveness portal, you're good. If not, they probably already reached out to you and told you exactly how they want their forgiveness done. And listen, you still got time. There was an 8 to 24 week covered period, and then after that, it's like another 10 months. We have a restaurant here in South Carolina, and we did the first PPP back in April of 2020, and literally like a month ago, with TD Bank, they just sent us the application. So you're cool. You don't have to stress. You don't have to trip. They do not. Their intentions is not for you to pay this back. Just be logical. You got money in a pandemic. You got money in a time of economic uncertainty. So what good sense would it make for somebody to give you a PPP where they were offering even a low to no credit score, no collateral, knowing you possibly couldn't pay it back, and then ask you to pay it back? Don't even make good business sense from a lending standpoint. So that was not their intentions. I appreciate y'all watching, as like I say, we did go through that forgiveness portal here. If you want to know more about the EIDL, watch some of the following videos. I appreciate y'all watching. Stormy Madison with Stormy Matt TV. Like, share, subscribe, do all those social things, man. Y'all be blessed.